Welcome to the deep dive. We're digging into some practice questions you sent over for the IIA-CIA Part 1 exam today.
That's right.
Yeah, really trying to understand what makes this certification so important for internal auditors. The idea isn't just answers, but getting to the core concepts behind them.
Exactly. Think of it as a way to quickly grasp the key things they test on part one. It's fundamental stuff that honestly helps throughout your whole career.
Right. And just a quick reminder on the exam itself, it's computer-based, 2 hours, 30 minutes, 125 multiple choice questions.
Yep. And that passing score is around 600 out of 750, so roughly 80%.
And it's available in quite a few languages too, English, Spanish, French, others as well, which is great.
Definitely helps accessibility.
Okay, so let's jump right in. First question, which of the following actions should internal auditors take to assess the effectiveness of an organization's risk management process? Your options are A, review the implementation of risk treatments and controls. B, establish risk management goals for the organization. C, assess the risk management framework's compliance with external regulations. Or D, implement risk management controls in the organization.
Mm.
And the correct answer here is A. So why A? What's the thinking there?
Well, the key word is effectiveness.
Right.
You can't just look at a policy document. You need to see if it's actually, working.
So checking if the treatments and controls are really being used.
Exactly. Are they applied correctly? Are they doing what they're supposed to do, mitigate the risk? It's about the practical application, not just the theory.
Okay, so it's less about the auditors, like setting the goals or putting controls in place themselves. That's management's job.
That's right. Management owns the process. Internal audit comes in to provide that independent assessment. Are things working as intended?
Gotcha. And that ties straight into the whole risk management process knowledge area.
Precisely. It's a core part of internal audit's assurance role, evaluating if those design controls and treatments are effective in practice.
All right, makes sense. Let's move to question 2. This one's about designing internal controls.
Okay.
It asks, when considering the design of internal controls, which of the following should be the primary consideration for internal auditors? Options. A, cost-benefit balance. B, scope of controls covering all potential risks. C, impact on revenue generation. D, complexity of control processes.
Right.
The answer is B. So why is scope covering all potential risks the main thing, even over cost?
Well, think about the fundamental purpose. Controls are there to protect the organization, aren't they?
Yeah.
So before you worry about cost or complexity, you first have to ask, are we actually addressing the significant things that could go wrong?
Oh, okay. Like building a fence, make sure it goes all the way around before you worry about the price of the wood.
Exactly. You need comprehensive protection first. If you miss a major risk area in the design phase, even perfectly efficient controls elsewhere won't fully protect you.
So cover all the bases first, then optimize. Makes sense for designing internal controls.
That's the idea. A solid, comprehensive design is the foundation.
Okay, question 3 shifts gears to governance. In assessing governance structures, which of the following is most important for internal auditors to evaluate? Options. A, staff turnover level. B, clarity of roles and responsibilities of the board and management. C, IT system efficiency. D, alignment of goals with stakeholder interests. The correct answer is B. Why is that clarity between the board and management so critical?
Well, it's fundamental to how the organization is steered and controlled, isn't it?
Yeah.
If it's fuzzy, who's responsible for what at the very top?
Chaos.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
You could get conflicting directions, gaps in oversight, lack of accountability. Who makes the final call? Who ensures things get done? Without clear roles, the whole structure weakens.
So clear lines of authority and accountability are paramount. That really sits at the heart of good governance and organizational structure.
Absolutely. It sets the stage for effective decision-making, ethical conduct, everything really. It provides that essential framework.
Makes sense. Question 4. This is about internal audit's role in strategy.
Right.
Which of the following best describes the role of internal audit in supporting the organization's strategic objectives? Options. A, design and implement strategic goals. B, provide assurance on meeting goals and highlight risks. C, set strategic direction based on audit findings. D, stay out of strategic planning.
Okay, a classic question.
And the answer is B. So internal audit isn't designing or implementing strategy, but rather
Right.
providing assurance.
Yeah, it's about independence again. Internal audit shouldn't be management setting the course. Its value is in that objective viewpoint.
Like a reality check?
Kind of. Are we actually on track to meet these big goals? And crucially, what risks might derail us? They're like the independent navigator checking the course and spotting icebergs, not the captain setting the destination.
Okay, that independence allows for an unbiased assessment of progress and potential roadblocks. That clearly defines the role of internal audit in strategic objectives.
Precisely. Providing that objective insight helps keep the organization on track and aware of challenges.
Good. Question 5 delves into financial reporting controls.
Always important.
Which of the following is a key consideration when internal auditors assess the effectiveness of internal controls over financial reporting? Options. A. Timeliness of implementing new procedures. B. Structure of the accounting department. C. Adherence to regulatory requirements like SOX. D. Independence of the reporting team from audit.
Right.
The answer here is C. Why is sticking to regulations like Sarbanes-Oxley so key for these controls?
Well, think about trust. Financial reporting relies heavily on trust from investors, regulators, the public.
Right.
Regulations like SOX were specifically created to ensure the reliability and accuracy of that reporting. So when auditors check the controls, a primary question has to be, are we meeting these legal requirements?
So compliance isn't just box ticking, it's fundamental to the credibility of the financials.
Exactly. Noncompliance can lead to huge problems, fines, lawsuits, reputational damage. It's a critical piece.
Right.
This really underlines compliance with regulatory frameworks.
Got it. Okay, question 6 introduces something different, soft controls.
Ah, yes. The intangibles.
The question is, which of the following is an example of a soft control within an organization? Options. A. Standard operating procedures. B. Organizational culture and tone from leadership. C. Automated approval systems. D. Design of the internal audit framework.
Okay.
The answer is B. So what exactly are soft controls, like the vibe?
Yeah. Vibe isn't far off. They're the less formal cultural elements, things like the ethical tone set by leaders, shared values, integrity, how people generally behave.
So not written rules, but the unwritten ones, the atmosphere.
Exactly. It's the organizational culture, and it powerfully influences behavior, sometimes even more than formal rules or systems. Think tone at the top.
Interesting. Harder to measure, I guess, but sounds crucial.
Very crucial. A strong ethical culture, a good soft control can prevent issues before formal controls are even needed. Or a poor one can undermine everything.
Right. Okay, question 7, back to frameworks. According to the ISO 31000 risk management framework, which should be the first step in the risk management process?
ISO 31000.
Options. A, risk treatment planning. B, risk identification and assessment. C, risk monitoring and review. D, establishing the context for risk management.
A foundational question for frameworks.
And the answer is D. Why start with establishing context? Why not jump straight into identifying risks?
Because risk management isn't one size fits all. Before you can identify relevant risks, you need to understand the specific playground the organization is in.
The playground.
Yeah, I mean, what are its goals? What internal factors, external pressures, stakeholders, regulations define its world? You need that context first.
Ah, so understand the environment before you look for the dangers within it.
Precisely. It ensures the whole risk process that follows identification, assessment, treatment is actually tailored and relevant to that specific organization. It's fundamental to risk management frameworks like ISO 31000.
Okay, tailoring it makes sense. Question 8 deals with fraud risk.
Always a hot topic.
During a fraud risk assessment, which of the following is the most important factor for internal auditors to consider? Options. A, likelihood of fraud in the industry. B, strength of existing anti-fraud measures. C, potential impact of fraud on reputation and finances. D, employee fraud training level.
Okay, most important.
Right. The answer is C. Why is the potential impact the #1 consideration?
Well, ultimately, why do we care about fraud? Because of the damage it can cause, right?
Yeah, financially, reputationally.
Exactly. So while likelihood and controls are important inputs, the potential impacts is what really tells you how critical a particular fraud risk is. A fraud that could bankrupt the company, even if less likely, probably needs more attention than a frequent but low-impact one.
So you prioritize based on what could hurt the most. Makes sense for focusing a fraud risk assessment.
That's the key. It helps direct resources to the areas of greatest potential harm.
Got it. Question 9 asks about specific frameworks again. Which of the following is an example of a risk management framework that helps organizations improve their ability to identify and mitigate risks?
Okay.
Options: A. CIOSO ERM framework, B. IFRS framework, CGAP framework, D. ISO 9001 certification.
Should be clear which one fits risk management.
Yes, the answer is A. Tell us a bit about the CRWES ERM framework. What makes it stand out?
Well, GIOSO ERM Enterprise Risk Management is really comprehensive. It's
Yeah.
probably the most widely recognized framework globally for looking at risk across the entire organization.
Enterprise-wide, okay.
Yeah, it gives principles, components. It helps integrate risk management right into strategy setting and performance. It's designed to be holistic, not just siloed risk checklists.
So embedding risk awareness into everything the organization does, a key tool for Enterprise Risk Management Framework, COSO ERM.
Definitely. It encourages looking at how risks interconnect and affect overall objectives.
Right.
Very useful.
Okay, last question, number 10. This brings it back to the relationship between internal audit and risk management.
Crucial relationship.
Which of the following best describes the relationship between internal audit and the organization's risk management framework? Options: A. IIA independently designs the framework. B. IIA provides assurance on effectiveness and identifies improvements. CIA sets the risk appetite. DIA implements the framework across departments.
Right.
The answer is B. So internal audit's role is primarily assurance and improvement, not designing or implementing.
Exactly. And this goes back to independence and objectivity. Internal audit can't really audit something effectively if they built it or run it day to day.
Right, you can't mark your own homework.
Precisely. Their job is to independently assess. Is the framework management put in place designed well? Is it operating effectively? And where can it be improved? They're the independent checkers, not the builders or operators.
That makes total sense. Need that separation for a credible assessment really clarifies the relationship between internal audit and risk management.
Absolutely. They provide that vital, independent oversight layer within the overall governance structure.
So quite a journey through these questions. Absolutely. These practice questions are definitely a great window into those critical concepts. So to leave our listeners with something to chew on, thinking about all these principles, risk controls, governance, audit's role in today's, pretty complex and fast-changing world, what do you think is the single biggest challenge organizations actually face in keeping their internal controls and risk management truly effective?
That's a really good question to ponder. Lots of potential answers there.
Definitely something to think about. Well, thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive. We hope this breakdown was helpful for your prep.